the moment that he started hugging the grave, I was like,
something's going down.
Okay.
Like, what is his life?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Dude.
Would I partake in such an activity? No.
Would I partake in such an activity? Hey, I love beauty, and that's what this movie is going to be. It's going to be absolutely stunning.
I don't know if that's the moral of the story you want to get from that movie. I don't know how I feel about that, but...
Farley was actually my favorite character.
Really?
Yeah.
I want a show. I want a sitcom.
And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to be surprised by anything else after this scene because dude. Hello and welcome to our podcast. We're Nox and Noah, and today we're talking about Saltburn. So we're going to talk about what we thought about the movie, what we liked, what we didn't like, as well as those ick factors that everybody has their opinions about, and then also what we thought about the comparison between Saltburn and the talented Mr. Ripley. So Noah, I'm really interested in hearing what you thought about the movie.
I don't know how you felt about it, but overall, so this is the second time that I've seen it before we did the show, and I'm glad that I saw it twice. The first time, I was really impressed a lot with Barry and just thought he did a phenomenal job. And I just thought overall, the movie, I thought accomplished what it was supposed to, what they were intending. But the second time I saw it, I think I was able to kind of recognize that really this was just a showcase for Barry. Didn't really, for me, feel like there was a lot for everyone else. Kind of seemed interchangeable. Like I love Rosamund Pike. Gone Girl will forever be my favorite role of hers. But I kind of felt like all the other actors, it could have been anybody. Where this was more of like a acting calling card for Barry. And it's interesting, when I first started watching it, it kind of felt like an unrequited love story for the unattainable person. That's kind of how they positioned it at the beginning, where he's talking about loving someone who everyone loved.
Did I love him? Was I in love with him? Right.
Yeah. And then that twist happened where you're like, oh, this is different. So I don't know, how did you feel about it?
I mean, I definitely understand what you mean by like the characters being kind of interchangeable. Like you can easily change them with someone else and it's like, okay. I mean, I did like the acting. Rosamund Pike was incredible. I loved some of her lines where it's like, she's so salty, you don't even realize what she's saying until like after a certain point, it's like, oh, wait a second. Like she just like ripped someone completely apart. Like, oh my God. I loved her ability to just do that. And she was just so like good with it. I do get what you mean by, the fact that you were like, it's kind of one of those like movies where it's just a spectacle. It's very much like Barry's movie. It's about him and his like acting chops and everything and his ability to kind of like, I don't know, his character in general is just someone who I guess you're not necessarily supposed to relate to. You're not necessarily supposed to understand why he's doing certain things. But I guess we're going to dive more like deeper into that. But he just gets into, he finds these opportunities where he gets into like things. And I don't know exactly. I don't want to describe everything right away. But anyways.
I thought the acting was phenomenal. It just felt like there wasn't so much for everyone to do. I feel it came out at the right time because when it comes to, the labor strikes and all that stuff, there's kind of that eat the rich mentality going on right now. So you see this pretentious family. And so I think another thing that threw me off between the first and second viewing is I read stuff the director said.
Oh, no, I didn't read anything she wrote.
Yeah, we'll get to the very ending later, the specifics of it. But that end sequence, she said that her intention was for that to be like basically a victory lap. That we wanted to cheer him on and wanted the audience to be complicit is what she said. And for me, both of our favorite shows is Spartacus.
Right.
So I feel like with us, we recognize in different cultures and societies, there's different morality. Like it's very fluid.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like the rich people weren't necessarily terrible people per se.
No.
So I didn't really feel the victory. They're kind of in their own bubble, in their own world.
Right. The victory was more so like him taking over control, being able to have that. I mean, I thought, again, like you said, they were kind of nice people.
Yeah.
Like thoughtful and everything. Yeah, like they had their hot takes and things like that. They had their moments where they were like ripping each other a new one and stuff like that. But that's very human. And it was mostly like just because they're rich and they kind of take their privilege for granted, then he felt like it was necessary for him to just like take over just because. And that's where it was kind of like, don't really relate to that in that sense, because it wasn't really something that they deserved. In a way, like if they were terrible people, if they like treated him poorly, like there were times when they yelled at each other and stuff, but it was a family type of dynamic, you know, that happens with families, whether it should or not, whether you think it should or not, it happens. And it was just one of those things where, again, with the end, it didn't really seem like necessary.
Right. I wasn't
but I enjoyed it.
It was funny. It was a humorous way to end it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if I were him, I'd probably be dancing naked in the house because it's mine. I'm free. I can do whatever the hell I want, you know? But yeah, instead, like, let's get more into a little bit more like the starting point and everything with the story and stuff like that. So actually, I'm thinking about, like, from the very, very start, the credits with him, like, actually, like, describing his love or whether or not he loved. And then suddenly, like, Saltburn comes onto the screen. And it's very glitzy and glammy. It kind of gets us started for, like, kind of gives us, like, an idea of what we should expect. You know, the spectacle of the entirety of their lifestyle, but also like the movie in general. Whereas, like, you know, you see another film and you're like, oh, like this is about the story, the plot, and everything like that. This is a lot more about the spectacle of just everything. The life, like, you know, the parties, the lifestyle, and everything. I mean, when I first, you were talking about when you first watched the film. When I first watched the film, I was like, oh my God, I want to live this life. This looks like so much fun, you know? Like, you know, just going into your house, oh yeah, there's the library, there's the whatever room, the red room, green room, again with like the privilege and the taking their lives for granted. Like they didn't really care about, like, you know, it's their house, you know, but with him, the new guy coming in, like, oh, this is grand, this is incredible. Me going in like, holy crap, dude, like this is amazing, you know? But yeah, just like as a viewer, it's definitely, it's not the lifestyle that I'm looking for, but it's something that we don't really get to see.
Sure. So,
yeah, again, with that like spectacular view of their lifestyle and everything coming in.
Question for you. So yeah, I enjoyed the beginning, even his opening monologue where you thought it was one thing until later you find out it's something else. And with both the way the credits were displayed, along with the fact the movie's in letterbox format, the first time I saw it, I kept thinking it was more of an era, like far, like a while ago, taking place, and it would throw me off when they were watching like Superbad, and stuff like that. Did it throw you off?
I love that juxtaposition. Yeah, it's like, okay, we have that old timey feel. This could be centered around any time, like in the late 20th century. 21st century? 21st, yep. 21st century. But, you know, then they have the karaoke, they have the Superbad, and I think that's the kind of the point of that, you know, it's a little jarring just to realize that it's like in our sphere, in our lifetime, in our, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just
like the perception of our time. I liked it.
No, it was really cool, but it kept throwing me off. I kept thinking this was way longer ago than it truly was.
Yeah.
Plus, with Saltburn being such an old, historic
grand
place, it kept throwing me off where we were. The second time, not so much, but the first time I kept being like, oh this is more modern than I thought.
Yeah.
And like, can I just say, of all of the deaths in this movie, I'm disappointed that Farley wasn't one of them because he was a dick to Oliver from the jump.
Farley was actually my favorite character.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain.
He was a dick. He was a dick, but I don't know. I probably would have been Farley in this situation. I mean, it's one of those things where he's the type of character where, I mean, I guess I wouldn't like be him, but I relate to his character because he's the type of character that like, his cousins are the ones that like, you know, have the money, the privilege, like more so than he does. Yeah. He's kind of an outsider in his own right. So he kind of has to prove himself a little bit just because he isn't like in with the family, even though he technically is. So I understand why he felt like a little threatened by Ollie coming in, just because, you know, he could ruin his ability to, you know, continue living his lifestyle, which eventually he did. But I liked his character because he was, that character was like, no bullshit. I will say what I want. I will tell you how I feel. And that's like where I relate to that, where it's like, if I feel like someone's like, you know, kind of fucking around, or like, you know, there's some bullshit going on, I will say it, you know? And yeah, it was funny actually. I'm thinking about like his moments as well with, I guess the bedroom scene. He was just like, what the fuck, you know? But then he's just like, got that hint of a smile, that twinge of a, okay, is this actually happening though? Wait, this is happening. And I'm just going to let it happen because it's happening. But I don't know. He was a fun character to watch.
Sure. Yeah, he was definitely very interesting. But he was a dick from the beginning. The second Oliver walked into the school, he's the one making fun of his jacket even before there was a thing. But to your point, I can see it kind of being the whole bully thing of like, I feel bad about myself because I kind of don't feel in place, so I need to put others down to make myself feel better. Right. And that's where like I understood his character. Obviously, like, again, not from, like, that perspective, but I understood his character and kind of felt more for him in, like, certain situations because of that. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, you know, the other characters were like, oh, yay, like, I can do whatever I want. I'm cool. You know, kind of being at the beginning and Oliver not fitting in, even with whatever that, was it a guidance counselor or what was the thing with him and Farley? I didn't totally get. I think that was more of a like an introduction, like meetup with like your fellow, like kind of like an orientation thing, but like a counselor where you are able to chat with them throughout the year. But also like in like a group setting. Mm-hmm. So you can get to know your fellow, I don't know, I haven't been in college for so long. But you get to know your fellow student and kind of like tell your counselor like what you'd hope for during the year. But yeah, you're right. Like Farley was just like, who the hell is this guy? He's kind of a nerd. The guidance counselor kind of was like, I don't really care about what you're talking about. So, I mean, obviously Ollie had to kind of assimilate into like who he wanted, like into the lifestyle to become who he wanted to be. So he's, you know, this guy that's already kind of an outsider, and then he looks over his shoulder and like constantly looks through the window until he can finally get into that friend group that he truly wants to be in, which is one thing that I also like think we can relate to in general as like humans, where I've had moments where I've like moved to a new city or like I've moved to a new school, and like, you know, the first person you meet isn't always the person you actually want to hang out with. Especially that math guy. Holy crap. He was intense. He was intense. And I feel for the guy because he, again, was like very friendless, you know, that sort of thing. But, you know, I'm that person that's like, okay, let's maybe go talk to someone else. I mean, I would. That guy was scary. Yeah, like he also was one person that didn't have any issues with Ollie like later on. He got away, didn't get stuck in any sort of craziness. No, so lucky for him. Exactly. Happy for that dude. Lucky for Farley too. Yeah. I was actually happy that he was able to get away without being like, obviously he got fucked over. But is, you know, better than dying. Yeah, I would say so. You know? And it seemed like he still had an okay like life, you know, even though they definitely helped him out financially and things like that. He just wanted the life that they had. Exactly, which he just wasn't at that level, which unfortunately for him, but, you know. Yeah. I found it really clever how they had Oliver's mom call, and then the next scene was him saying his dad died. So I thought there was a lot of little clever things they did at the beginning until it all tied in later. And I thought I was really impressed with that one. Opportunities, yes. He always found an opportunity to get in. And definitely. We believed him because his mom just called. So why would I think he's lying that his dad died? I love how they did that, where it's like we are watching as if we're, you know, the family. You know, we're not in on the secret until later on. It wasn't until I think, you know, we had that setup and everything with him like getting in and going to Saltburn. But it wasn't until the midpoint where I was kind of like,
obviously when we have that reveal, but like it was like right before then when I was like, maybe something's kind of up.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like, he's getting really lucky with these moments. He's obviously trying to control the situation.
Seems pretty convenient.
He's, doing, random things to control people in the family. There's something going on here where it's a little sus.
Yeah.
And then we get to that midpoint where it's like, this motherfucker has been flying this entire time. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, the first hint of something is when he was talking to Rosamund Pike's character about poor dear Pamela, where after Pamela left. Which, by the way, I love that she's credited as poor dear Pamela.
Oh my God, I didn't notice that.
That's wonderful.
It's so random that Carey Mulligan was in this movie.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
She was so funny.
I loved her.
But that, when he just kind of was manipulating a little bit to reinforce what Rosamund Pike's character already wanted to think.
And then she's like, oh, well, yes, dear. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, he's doing whatever it takes to get in. So, and kind of going back to what we're talking about with, it not really feeling super victorious for us at the end. At worst, I feel like the family treated their house guests kind of like a petting zoo.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Farley said? Or I think Venetia said, like, you're just his pet. You're just this person that is going to come in and out. I liked the other one better. Or like, I liked you better than the other one. Like, clearly he's just
a novelty.
But also like a charity case, which granted, that's what he was hoping to do because that, I guess, is what you'd expect from someone who's higher. I don't want to say higher up, but like someone who is privileged to want to take pity on someone who's less fortunate than they are. And then that's when, he obviously started to feel like he should take control of the situation as well.
Yeah, he made it work for him. He
exactly
found ways to stay interesting to everybody. And
which I'm like, hey, more power to you, dude. Because like you are stuck there. You are going to be there for a long time. So you do have to adapt because you don't want to be that person that's just like overstaying their welcome or like, like he kind of was that friend that's like always kind of there. You never really think they have anything going for them because they just kind of like won't leave you alone. So you got to find those moments where it's like, okay, let me be in my own space. Let me kind of manipulate the situation in some way and make sure the person that knows that I'm sus is out of here.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. With Venetia, I found her character interesting because she like scoffed at everyone in her family's privilege, but she totally relied on it herself.
Oh, completely.
So it was very interesting that she kind of looked down upon it, but she's benefiting from it.
Yeah.
It's like, does that make you better or worse?
I feel like Venetia, because her mom was such a powerful character or like a powerful person who kind of always said what she wanted, always did what she wanted, maybe she felt like she didn't have control. So she would, I don't know, maybe like lash out in ways for that, but like underneath the surface in ways that like you didn't really notice or like other people didn't notice.
Kind of acted out.
Acting out, in a way, like to your point.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely with her trying to seduce Oliver a little bit, or at least tease him. And
her, I think it was bulimia that she had, not eating, where he actually ended up controlling her in that sense and being able to like get her to eat.
Yeah, he definitely turned the tables on everybody. That was his whole
Turned the tables, for sure.
Yeah, going to kind of that where the thing started to turn.
Yeah.
How about let's talk about the first controversial thing that everyone talks about, which was the bathtub.
Oh, are we talking about the ick factors now?
I mean, we can at least, we can talk about them all. We could just talk one at a, like.
Okay, so.
Like, where were you at with that one?
Okay, so it was at that point that I realized that the movie was just, it was going to go there. And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to be surprised by anything else after this scene because, fuck, dude. I mean, yeah, that was when also we realized how his obsession had really crept in and how much, like, it was just going to be so much more intense. after that point. That was like the unhinged moment. That was like that snap.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's not something that I would ever do, I don't think.
You know, for me, that was the grossest of the four that people talk about to me because of the slurping. I couldn't. I had to slurp. I had to look away.
Oof,
I look away. But can we agree? Like,
yeah, the second time I watched it, actually, I
had to look away. I couldn't. Can we agree though? Like, they're sharing this tub. Yeah. So the fact that Felix did that in the tub and then just walked out as his drain without cleaning the tub, like that's just rude, right?
What?
Like what Felix did in the tub.
Oh, Felix. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like he left residue in there like without cleaning it. That's a rude thing to do. They're sharing a tub.
Yeah, but he wouldn't clean it. He wouldn't expect to clean it. That's for the servants. That's for the house cleaning people.
Oh, no, I get it, but cleaning the thing that he did in the bathtub.
Yeah, but think from his head, from his mind, he's probably thinking, "Oh, it'll just go down the drain."
Okay.
I mean, that's not my thought. I'm thinking for him,
that's just
like
inconsiderate at the end of the day.
He's not used to cleaning. He's probably never washed a dish in his life aside from
poor servants. That makes it even grosser.
College. Yeah. Oh yeah. They cleaned up cleaned up everything. Even the party and everything was still a mess. That was their job.
Yeah. But to me, that was the grossest of the four.
Yeah. It's, I don't remember, I'm thinking of 3, so I'm curious what the 4th one is.
Oh, just the dance at the end.
Oh, that's gross?
Well, people were talking because it's controversial because he's dancing. I don't remember the name of the song. I just refer to it as the dong song because he's dancing.
The dong song?
Yeah, that's how I remember. I don't remember the name of the song because it's just waving, just wobbling.
Yeah, okay.
But so that's the 4th one.
Okay, gotcha.
The first one is the bathtub. Second is the blood, the vampire thing. And then the third one, we'll get into that.
Right. Okay, so the vampire. So actually, yeah, that wasn't that gross to me. It's kind of like one of those things, okay, yeah, it's a bodily fluid. We have more things, when we're with partners, we have more things in our mouths than you can even imagine. So it was kind of like one of those things where it's okay, again, not something I would probably do, at least not with my mouth, but hey, it was also a control factor.
Sure.
Also something that, I don't know, I feel like maybe alluded to the end, at least a part of the end, because with blood and everything like that, Venetia and I guess slitting her wrists or something, or, whatever artery he slit. Or she slit, because we didn't actually see him do anything. So it could have been him getting her to do it herself. And then also there was that moment, a little hints as well in there. That moment when Venetia was at the table after the death of her brother, and she's pouring all the wine and everything like that, and it spills all over her. It flows all over her. Another possible allusion to her committing suicide and the blood everywhere.
Yeah.
But it was kind of I don't want your finger with blood in my mouth, but hey, you're in the moment and let's just go with it.
Yeah, at first when she said it was her time of the month and he's I don't care or whatever, I'm like, good for you, man. That's super progressive.
Yeah, it's
who cares? And then 5 seconds later, I was like,
2020s.
Oh no, but for me, the blood looked super fake enough that it didn't really mess with me.
It was nighttime, so I didn't really. It was it could have been chocolate sauce for all I care.
Again, I was desensitized already from the bathtub thing, so this didn't really seem that big of a deal.
Right. Yeah.
Granted, would I partake in such an activity? No.
Would I partake in such an activity?
But on the grossness scale, that was just all right, that was a thing.
Yeah. I'm just starting to think about them more in my head. Try not to get that visual. Anyways, anyone watching, listening, comment, let us know what you thought was the ickiest ick scene from the movie. I don't know, I guess the worst would be the bathtub scene for me too.
Yeah, because even as people talk about the grave scene, and for me, that was just not. Once again, maybe I was desensitized, but it's just he's just mashing it on the ground,
the moment that he started hugging the grave, I was like,
Something's going down.
Okay. This is going to happen. He's going to do it. He's doing it. Yeah. He's going for it.
Yeah. The only bit of concern I had during that was for Barry. I was hoping he didn't find like a rogue small pebble with sharp edges. Like that's the only thing I could think is.
Oh my God, that would suck.
It would suck so bad. I was like, oh, buddy, did they inspect the dirt before this happened?
I'm assuming that he was wearing like a prosthetic thing going on down there. There's no way that he actually humped the ground. No way. I'm curious for the props person or the makeup or special effects makeup. That's what it is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Not sure if he had like a marble bag or anything like protecting his stuff. I mean, it looked like he didn't have anything.
And dirt too.
Yeah, there's really nothing to it.
You don't really want that in your holes.
No. I mean, I don't know. When you go to the beach and you're in like the ocean, sometimes you get like sand and stuff on you. Again, it didn't seem like much. He was just like
sand is sterile.
Pressing it.
I mean, like sand and like salt, isn't it sterile?
Sure.
I guess.
I'm not saying this was OSHA compliant activity. I'm just saying people made a big deal out of something. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, definitely the least surprising.
No. And it kind of made sense narratively.
It did. It did.
Know?
It was him taking over after that moment.
Yeah.
It was him saying, hey, I did this.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
A very dominating thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about the control. Mm-hmm. I guess when you really think about it with, any sexual assault and anything like that, I mean, not to really go there, but it's all about control. Yeah. So that's definitely, that's an interesting take on that.
But yeah, and just the dance at the end, I just thought was funny. Like, just because it kept going.
I can't believe people are upset about that.
Well, it's just because he's naked.
People
We're in a country
naked.
established by Puritans, okay? I mean, like, any sort of nudity, people are going to be like, oh my gosh.
Are we not human? Do we not take off our clothes sometimes? Plus, he was, like, by himself in his house that he had, like, you know.
He was taking a victory lap. I just thought it was funny because every time I thought the sequence was done, it just kept going. There was just another room, another hallway. So for me, I thought it was like funny. The
grandness of it all, like of his accomplishment as well. And then also, I guess we call it the dong song, but I mean, I don't remember the song specifically. I just remember the dong. And I kept thinking, because I'm a chick, you know, I don't have that. So I was like, man, that's what happens when dudes just, you know, go around. If they swing around, it just swings with them.
We've been exposed. Damn it. Trying to keep that a secret until 2023.
It's fascinating.
Why not? It's just you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, go for it.
One thing that didn't totally connect for me with the ending was him having the runny eggs with the butler at the end, because at the beginning when he, like at the very end when he's basically taken over the house, part of his whole like thing is he's having the runny eggs with the butler standing by, who's creepy throughout, but I felt like there was never a payoff for why he was creepy.
There was absolutely no reason for him to be that way.
No, I was expecting something by the end, and it was nothing.
He was suspect. He kind of thought maybe he was trying to do something funky.
There was nothing.
Yeah. Now you have to live with him.
Yeah.
And he's probably, I don't know, he's not going to kill him because that'll be too sus.
Yeah. But even at the beginning, when he first was at Saltburn, that first morning, he asked for like
runny eggs.
He asked for like over easy, which are runny eggs. Right, yeah. But then when he got them, I'm like, oh, they're runny. I didn't want them runny. But then at the end, he's happily eating runny eggs. I'm like, I don't understand the connection between the two. Like that didn't fully add up for me. Why? Like,
I don't remember the runny eggs at the end. I might not have been paying attention to that.
Possibly not. It was just when he took over the house.
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't really fully connect for me. And if it's not memorable to you, then I would assume he probably didn't connect.
It was like, meh, you know, I don't really like runny eggs either. But it was funny actually during the breakfast scene because I watched Downton Abbey and I'm just like really well versed in like, you know, the footmen and the, you know, the different, the butlers and the maids and everything like that. And when Ollie was, you know, ordering his food in the morning, you know, I was like, bruh, like you uncultured swine, would you get your food? It's right there.
Yeah. You didn't know he was a little overwhelmed with everything.
I know, but I was just like, I know this. If I were there.
You do, but I would be just as confused. I would.
Yeah, no, like for the layman, you know, the person that isn't used to the finer things.
For us peasants, we are just way out of our element. Fair. That's fair. But yeah, the butler was fun, but I was really disappointed there wasn't any sort of payoff towards the end.
Yeah, it's almost as if he didn't really need to be there.
No.
I mean, he did because, you know, that's their life. And
or not have a quirk.
Butler.
Have a quirk.
Yeah, just be someone like a fly in the wall, but like not someone that's like, you know, got their personality down, for sure.
A question I have for you when it comes to like, where do you think there was a point where it turned where Oliver like decided to take over? Because when they show because to me it almost felt like he was on the point of no return when Felix met his parents, who the dad wasn't dead, and so Oliver was like, okay, I of course have to kill him in order to live. Yeah, but when it's revealed, he's at the beginning towards the end, that's from the beginning, he's been talking to Rosamund, who's like in a coma basically. He goes back to every little thing that he did for poking the hole in the tire so that Felix would borrow his thing, pretending he didn't have money at the bar, like all these different things. So I don't know. So that was a little, it didn't totally connect for me because I thought, well, did his intentions, it felt weird that like he would include all of that stuff as like the mass manipulation.
He started from the beginning.
Yeah. But like, do you think the intention changed? Like basically once he had to kill Felix, that then he decided to take over, or was that maybe the plan all along?
I think it was the plan all along. I think he's definitely someone who is methodical. He planned everything to a T. Like you said, with the tire, the pretending that he doesn't have money because he wants to be that charity case. I think that was the point of the film in general. He wanted to take over Saltburn. He may have even like researched him beforehand. At least when he started thinking, like once he started looking at him through the window, hoping to get in with the friends and everything like that, that was maybe that moment where he was like, okay, I have this opportunity and I think I'm going to take it. And maybe it took him a little while to really get to that point where he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to continue doing this and actually try to take over. But I mean, I don't know. There is a possibility that it wasn't until that point when Felix found out he was lying. But I don't know, because they gave us that, you know, I think it's alluding to him knowing from the beginning that was his plan from the beginning.
Which kind of leads us to a comparison of another movie that we've heard.
Right, The Elephant in the Room. So a lot of people were complaining about the fact that it was so much like The Talented Mr. Ripley, which I just actually recently watched.
Never seen it before.
I had never seen it before, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what this means. Like, let me see this movie and let's see what's up. And actually, after watching it, yes, it was definitely very similar to The Talented Mr. Ripley. And I think that it may even be like an ode to it or could be maybe like a remake of it. Because there are moments actually when Emerald kind of like alludes to it. There's a moment during the breakfast scene where they're talking about... I can't remember. I wrote it down. They're talking about a person who was in Italy and there was a doppelganger. I think it was like Shelley or something. They were like, oh, this person had a doppelganger and they were in Italy and someone found them drowned and like something happened. That's The Talented Mr. Ripley. That 100%. Is straight up. Mm-hmm. So I think like she knew what she was doing when she wrote and created this movie. But like with Saltburn, I think... it's more of a spectacle, more of the, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, you know, gives you that beautiful aesthetic and everything. Whereas Talented Mr. Ripley is more of a film where you can understand the character because Ripley he wasn't someone that was, sure, he was like looking to get into the, you know, the group, but he wasn't immediately thinking, oh, I'm going to take over and take all their money and everything. Everything that happened to him was kind of an accident.
Yeah.
You know, he's, you know, going on this trip and everything like that. People are kind of getting tired of him. Oops, we get into a fight and I have to hit you with something. And then, his friend finds out, so he has to kill him. And throughout this entire, experience that he's having, he's tortured.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to do this anymore, even at the very end. And I think it's interesting with that movie is the very end is what actually got me, where I was like, the movie itself, it's kind of a slow burn, it's slowly going. We're, getting into it. But the end where you feel that emotion from him as his friend is talking about how amazing he is, how much of a good person he is. They have those, homosexual undertones as well because it was made in the early 90s. And, he's, fallen for him and he feels like so good about this. And then he has to kill him because of, the whatever. And it's just
eventually he's going to ask questions.
Yeah. It's like, damn, dude, like he's crying. He doesn't want to do it. But with Saltburn, it wasn't really that much. It was more of like a psychopath doing his thing and taking over control and having fun with it. We had those moments where he was kind of crying and things like that, but it didn't really hit me in the same way. I didn't feel that much, like as much as I feel like they wanted you to feel, because everything was just fun and beautiful and it was more about what I was seeing rather than what I was feeling. Yeah. And it was hard to relate to him as well because, we're just normal people, not trying to manipulate people and not trying to, more power to him. Hey, but, we're not looking to kill people for our own advantage, whereas again, Ripley wasn't really doing that purposefully. And he suffered from it in the end because it was all alone. With Ollie, he was happy to be alone because he wanted that lifestyle. So, yeah. I mean, what did you think about?
Well, I completely agree. So, if we're being honest, all films have a derivative nature to them when it comes to taking, whether it's inspiration or similar plot points or characters or whatever. I mean, it's just how you tell the story, the angle, the different perspectives, the different different characters they interact with, things like that.
Yeah.
But exactly to your point, sure, it's someone basically saying, I'd rather be a fake somebody than a real nobody, which is a line from Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but to your point, Ripley, everything he did was to cover up the last thing he did.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a manic scramble, and it wasn't planned. It was more of like, oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman's on to me. Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow's on to me. It's that thing where it wasn't intentional. Even the initial killing of Jude Law was a passionate moment where this is methodical. It's not even remotely the same thing.
Yeah.
Do they have similar undertones or outcomes? Sure, but the initial one was just Ripley just wanted to be friends with this guy who ended up being a womanizing asshole.
Yeah.
Who, if anything, he probably didn't totally want to be this guy because he was different and he looked down on Matt Damon. Whereas this is, man, Oliver is all about how do I methodically get in with all of these and manipulate literally everything. Everything was so calculated. Yeah. And that's fundamentally different motivations between those two characters.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you said, it's more of an ode or a derivative film.
Because there's been other movies and even TV shows with different imposters, people trying to be someone else. So even plotline, these aren't even remotely the same thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe people haven't seen Talented Mr. Ripley since the 90s.
Yeah.
It happens to be one of my favorite Matt Damon movies. So I've seen it. Oh, I love it so much. He's so good in it.
He really is.
He's so understated in his performance. So I think that's what really made it stand out for me is he sinks into the role and you truly feel for this dude that's already at this point an Oscar winner. He really makes you sympathize for this down and out guy. And so, it's very... I just thought it's such a fascinating film. It's just so I love it. So
yeah,
just the two of them just really aren't. I think it's so thinly compared because maybe people misremember his motivations because I think that's the biggest part is what you just hit the nail on the head with that for sure.
I mean, it is again similar with the with the way the plot rolls, and then we also have those homosexual undertones and stuff like that. And again, we have those moments where similar things happen, where we have the main guy killed, and then the sister / girlfriend who's like suspect. We also have the cousin who's also very suspect, who actually survives, like Gwyneth Paltrow's character, because of whatever moment. And then we have the end where he inherits everything. Similar, but again, very different stories.
Do you think Oliver killed James, the dad?
I actually questioned that because I was wondering how he would have done it. There was no real explanation of like how the dad died, aside from if you are able to read the article, which, you know, it's very difficult to read. But I'm assuming he either found a way to get to him outside of the home. And then obviously like it's funny like how Rosamund Pike's character didn't notice that Ollie was in some like cookie
like a bakery
with like women around. Like it's probably like a tea shop that like it's like obviously this guy is like planning this for sure. But I think that he might have gotten to him in some way and then immediately was like, okay, now that he's gone, let me like appear at this place that she probably goes to all the time and get back into her good graces.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But you blink and you miss it when it comes to that newspaper. You don't really know what happened to the dad. But I just assume because he systematically took everybody out.
That's again that opportunity that he creates for himself.
Yeah. So,
which kudos to him, like credit to him for creating those opportunities.
Yeah.
There are moments in my life that I hope to create opportunities. So I'm
maybe
like,
a little bit more
okay.
ethically.
Yeah, you know? Ethical opportunities. I do have morals. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I strive to be more like a person who can take control of their life.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the moral of the story you want to get from that movie. I don't know how I feel about that, but more power to you, I guess. I'll just, make sure to keep my drinks covered around you just in case. I don't know how he got Rosamund, but somehow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Somehow made her sick.
Yeah, he had her in the wheelchair and everything, and she was just not able to breathe and stuff like that. I'm curious what he slipped her. I mean, it's interesting also that there was no police investigation aside from like it was very outside.
Just for Felix.
No one, and I was thinking that maybe they did it that way because with Ripley they had it was very intimate moments with the police and everything like that, and maybe they wanted to do more of obviously different stories, so I'm going to try not to compare, but. With this, it's more of like a fantasy of what would happen if you were Ollie. Like, what would you want to happen? No police, everyone dies very easily, and no one asks questions. Because I technically wasn't fully around in these situations. I have an alibi or whatever, or something happened. So I think that's what it is. It's more of like the fantasy rather than the reality. Because the reality would be like he would be the number one suspect. All of the house people, the house workers would have been like, this bitch did something. Especially the butler who, is crabby as hell the entire time and like doesn't say anything.
He was at the beginning, he was watching Oliver like a hawk. So if anything, I assumed he'd be the one to like expose him at the end. Because he even found him like in the attic or wherever, that one room where he's like, everyone's interested in Saltburn. And he was touching that stuff. So it's like, even that didn't have a payoff because at the beginning he watched him like a hawk, but as time went on, he just like let Oliver do his thing. So it was just very odd. So yeah, you're right. Like if anything, that would be the one to be like, he did it.
Yeah.
He's the one missing piece between all of these. He's the connective tissue.
It's interesting also thinking about fantasy versus reality because we do have those movies where like it's later revealed that this was all a dream or something like that. I mean, obviously this didn't happen in the movie, but I'm curious because everything was so easy. There was no investigation. Like he was just really able to manipulate everyone as much as possible. Was this real or was this all in his head?
Interesting. You got a Jacob's Ladder scenario going on.
Yeah, I haven't seen Jacob's Ladder. But now that's another movie on my list.
You got it. You will understand that reference.
Yeah.
Hopefully other people do as well. If not, see it. It's a good movie.
Well, clearly someone was just dreaming. Thank you for ruining it for me.
Shit. I thought Barry was fantastic in this. I was a little surprised award-wise that he wasn't recognized as much, but also I was surprised the cinematographer wasn't recognized. Because what I loved, I thought the cinematography was that, and Barry was those were the two standouts. And I loved how the color grading palette changed depending on the tone of the scene.
Yes, definitely.
I loved that.
I think it was interesting because a lot of people were upset, not upset, but were complaining about the fact that it's more of that Tumblr aesthetic, more of the dark academia. I was never into Tumblr, so I have no idea anything like that. I was more of a Zanga, MySpace, Pinterest person, but that aesthetic is, it's Oxford. You're going to have that dark academia. And then there's also Saltburn, which is a very old building with all of these
bright, rustic
pieces. Yeah, very grand. And you're going to have that throughout the film because it's that type of film. So I had no problem with it. I think it was beautiful. And again, to the point of Rosamund Pike's character / Emerald coming in and saying, hey, I love beauty. I want beauty. And I have no problem saying it. That's who I am. And that's what this movie is going to be. It's going to be absolutely stunning. And they weren't recognized for that, which is really unfortunate. The cinematographer did other films like Don't Look Up, and then also La La Land. And,
interesting.
There was another movie, Babylon. So it's interesting with, I noticed with his films, he's got that dark kind of moody moments, but a lot of interesting moments with the way he lights things as well. With what was the scene? The labyrinth scene with the maze
at the party.
At the party, especially the party in general, just all of the lighting and everything at the party. But with that scene, especially the moodiness of it all,
sure,
the feeling of that something may be happening in this moment. I just loved it. But I can definitely see more of his work, his signature in this work for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was really disappointed he didn't get more recognition.
Yeah.
So, spinoffs.
Spinoffs?
Who did you think of a character who has a spinoff to this? What's a side character?
I don't think anybody could have a spinoff. There's no. Okay.
Can I give you mine?
Yeah, give me yours because
the math student.
Ew, what?
No,
the geek?
Well, he was just barely in it, and I'm thinking I don't know how, but maybe the spinoff / sequel is maybe him figuring out what Oliver did, somehow using his super science or super human way of doing math or something. I just wanted more of his weird. Maybe that's a sequel, but or even a spinoff where I want to know more about this guy because he was so he was so intense and weird.
Yeah,
and
that moment where he screamed, I was like,
"Oh my gosh!" He's "Get me a math problem!" Freaking out about a math problem.
Is he a psycho too?
I want to know. I was fascinated with that character because I think there was only 3 scenes with him. Right? There was
he was barely
the initial thing, him bringing the candy bar that he ended up eating himself,
and then the bar at the left.
Yeah, and then that was it. I was because I was scared of that guy, but I was also very curious, what is his life? Because he's by himself,
he's in the library, and he's like, oh, they're gonna get tired of you, whatever.
Yeah, but he also why would anyone want to be around him? Yes, he's by himself, but he kind of does that to himself.
Yeah.
Screaming at people to give them math problems. I don't want to be around that person.
So you want to spin off of him?
I'm so curious about his life.
Okay. I don't care about that character at all. I would want to be as far away from as possible from that guy. So he can just go over in the corner somewhere. But I think that would be really interesting to get a feel of more of why he was like that. But at the same time, it's he's just another person at school that, you just decided that you didn't want to hang out with anymore.
So it was either that or I want a sitcom of, remember the couple in the karaoke?
A sitcom?
I want a sitcom of this. Remember
What?
the couple at the karaoke where the wife didn't know how many kids she had? Like,
oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I thought that would be hilarious to have a sitcom of their family.
And she's just...
And he like sings and throws his jacket at her and she looks like annoyed. Like, do you have to breathe? Like to her husband. I want a sitcom of their family.
I actually wanted to see a little bit more of her because I was just like, why are you like this? Oh, wow. Yeah. Kind of like just detached, but maybe that was just the types of people that they surround themselves with.
Oh, absolutely.
Are just, yeah.
I mean, even to her point, she loves throwing her kids in boarding school because those types of people don't have kids because they want kids. They have kids because it's what you do in your social groups.
Right.
It's a status symbol.
Yeah. I'm really glad that I don't have that. I don't care about what other people expect of me. I just, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, just do you.
But yeah, the karaoke moment especially, she's just like, this is my husband.
Yeah.
I mean, I think out of all the characters, I would definitely want, what's the cousin's name again? I forgot.
Farley, and I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, he's my favorite character, and I forgot his name, but I think he would have the most interesting reasoning for having a spinoff because he was screwed over. He has he could have an opportunity to come back and say, hey, this is actually my family's home. He has his mother who, went to America, but she could also come back and say, who the hell is this guy? Everyone's dead. Like, I'm going to take you to court and say, no, this is my house. There's no way that you can take over this thing. Then there'd be a huge legal battle.
It'd be interesting. I mean, they did sign over papers to Oliver. But to your point, I mean, there could be something, especially if they can find some sort of evidence that he did it.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. I mean, granted, it would be tough because they are financially unstable now that they don't have the family money.
Yeah.
Which
totally cut off.
Yeah, to which they might just be like, you know what? Fuck it. We lost. Like, there's nothing more we can do. Our family kind of gave up on us anyways.
Poor Farley and all he has is his Ivy League education. What kind of future is that guy gonna have?
But he did get kicked out of his schools too. So who knows if if he'll get very far.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really crying for him. You liked him way more than I did.
I did.
I kind of didn't like him whatsoever.
No?
Just because he was a dick from the very second Oliver entered the school. It'd be different if he was that way when Oliver joined Felix's friend group. But the fact that he was an asshole
very
from
entitled.
the jump, yeah, I was just like, okay, you don't even know. This kid just literally walked by. You don't even know who this is. And you give him shit about his jacket. I was like, all right. He was on my shit list, and I'm not even a manipulator like Oliver.
Maybe I was just entertained by him.
Sure.
More so. But yeah, I mean, he was a dick, but he was entertaining. So, I mean, yeah. Not really that big of a deal for me.
I knew that's who you were going to pick.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine anybody else having a spinoff.
Yeah. Because he was fascinating. I mean, even though I didn't like him, he did have additional layers to his character that the others are pretty straightforward. Yeah,
exactly. Like, he had those layers. Whereas, like, Felix was just the guy that everyone loved and everyone cared about and, poured their, love to him.
Just a selfish guy.
Venetia was an attention seeker. The mother was just cutthroat. The father was a bit forgettable,
he was
to be
just
honest.
there, yeah.
He was just a really nice guy. Yeah, it was cute, though, and he was like, I kind of felt for him when when Felix, died, and then he was like, "Oh, it's okay, darling. Just, we just need to get him warm. We're like, that's like the
Wasn't
shock."
That fascinating when they were having breakfast? That like how they're all they all reacted to it very differently. But the parents trying to be proper and trying to like have a conversation about how good the cake was.
Where they're like holding in, like, trying to hide the fact that it's affected them.
Because they have to be proper, like all that stuff. They have to keep.
That's how they were raised, probably, too.
Literally no one is around to see whether or not they're being proper in that moment, but they're so conditioned to it that they have to do that.
Yeah, and then my boy Farley's like, no, fuck this. Yeah. Like, we need to feel emotions,
He got scolded for it.
He got ripped, a new one. But Yeah. I mean, again, I think that's why I liked his character, because he was kind of like a no bullshit person, you know? And that's kind of like how I am too. It's like, there's something more to this, and maybe we should like talk about it or investigate it or something. But, you know, he was outsmarted.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I'm going to pour one for Farley. Seriously.
It does have, now that, you know, we talk about it more, it has really interesting layers to it.
Yeah. I think one of the funny things I was thinking, like, especially at the very end, like, first of all, he's dancing and everything like that. But I was kind of just like, what the hell is he going to do all by himself in this big ass house? Like, he just got this whole house to himself. I guess he has the family money to pay for it. And then, like,
I think so.
It's funny how he was like, you know, kind of like with the rocks, you know, for the family names, and then like looking at the pictures and everything like that. I was like, dude, these ghosts are gonna haunt you so hardcore. Like, this is a big ass like estate. This is their house. They're going to, that would be a good spinoff or like a continuation of the story.
With ghosts.
The ghost just like, nah, this guy is not like, no, we are taking back our house. Saltburn 2.0.
That'd be interesting.
That would be really interesting.
I envision they would, the first thing they get mad at is their stones are out of the water.
And then they start stoning
because
him?
that's their tradition, is the stones go in the water. And maybe that's what brought the ghost back. Because they're not at peace because the stones are in the pond.
Oh, and then they can only be at peace if the stones are returned. But he doesn't know that.
No. I could see this.
Yeah, this is, I think we should write this and pitch it. Be like, yo, Emerald, what's up?
I just, even like with Farley, like I see him trying to do some sort of thing to get back at Oliver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like his attempt to come back after, like during the party too. Like technically it wasn't an attempt, he was just invited. But like, you know, after the party, he's like, you know, at breakfast with them and everything like that. Like that was him being back in. But then he was, you know, he was scolded.
Like, and I'm curious about Oliver's family. You know, when we went back, the parents couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
You know, and they were all proud of him and everything like that. It was just kind of...
He didn't seem to care about his family.
No,
like
not at all.
They kind of mentioned that he's one of those people that is like does things on his own. Didn't even mention he had siblings. Doesn't talk to them or anything like that. His mom seemed to be that type of person who kind of maybe enabled him a little bit.
Sure.
She was kind of like, oh yeah, like if he wants to leave, let him leave. Like it's fine, like whatever. And she was kind of like fighting her husband a little bit, even though they were trying not to. It seems like they're used to it. It seems like they're just, do whatever you want, honey. It's fine.
I'd be curious, his earlier years, like the stuff that he got away with. Because this can't, I mean, he was so systematic from the beginning. This can't be the start. You know, the poking the hole in the tire, like, that can't be the first time he's done something to work his way into things.
Oliver Quick, the early years. That would ruin it, I feel like, though.
Oh, totally.
Like, learn more about his story.
Pretty much every prequel kind of is a bummer, if you think about it. I'm trying to even come up with, I'm sure, other than obviously the Spartacus second season prequel, like I can't think of anything where it explains the backstory and it's like, I'm glad that happened. Yeah. I'd rather not show that stuff and let my imagination do its thing. Yeah,
and that's a thing where like I think, especially with the ending with the voiceover and him like the showing everything he did, it kind of, I wish they didn't have that because we had that mystery throughout the film. You know, we had that mystery of like, why is he doing this, or is he doing this, or you know, that sort of thing with the family. Like, oh, okay, like that's kind of something it seems like they've dealt with, but we don't know how and what capacity.
Yeah, it kind of muddied it for me a little bit to show all those different elements.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it was supposed to be a surprise that he killed Felix. When that happened, I'm like, oh, he killed Felix.
The moment that Felix grabbed the drink or grabbed the bottle from him, I was like, no, there's something going on here. Like Felix is about to die. Like he's poisoned him and he like threw up. I was like, yeah, that's he's not going to wake up next morning. Yeah,
I kind of assumed he was going to kill me even before that. When he found out about the parents and he was like begging him to stay and Felix wanted nothing to do with him. I'm like, oh, this is going to take a dark turn. So I don't think, for me, I didn't really need all the flashback stuff.
Yeah.
With Venetia dying, I'm like, I kind of assume Oliver killed her or highly motivated her to kill herself with all of those. And I think that's maybe why the whole not knowing what he did to James, the dad, kind of stood out because like, okay, you're explaining everything else, but you left that one out.
Oh, so maybe that wasn't him. He was just waiting for that moment when it just happened. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like having that mystery would have been a lot better. And like we were saying, but it was interesting being able to see like, oh, it didn't just start that one point. It started from the very, very beginning. But at the same time, I could have been okay without that information.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I enjoyed Saltburn. I enjoyed this movie. Whether or not I thought it was, I liked Talented Mr. Ripley better than Saltburn, I don't know. They're both good movies in their own right, and I don't want to compare them just because they're their own movies. But let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, I guess which one you liked better, or like which parts about Saltburn you liked more than the parts of Ripley, or vice versa. But this has been fun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to be talking way more about movies and all kinds of stuff. So make sure to subscribe and like and comment below with how you felt about the movie. And we'll see you next time.